Insurance is a great tool. Cyber insurance is great for companies, organizations, and individuals. But it's important to remember, what are you actually being protected for? What are the premiums that you're going in and being covered? Everybody wants to go in and get lower premiums. So we check and agree to things. But if there are things we're not actually doing, we might not be protected the way that we think. One of the things that we see people get caught up all the time on life insurance is people will go in and say they don't smoke. They don't smoke, they check that box. So it says you haven't smoked in a year, you won't smoke, and if you ever smoke, you'll tell us because it changes your premium. Yes. But if you're one of those folks that might have a cigar every month or two, 5 or 6 times a year, right? It's a cigar. But guess what? You go in and you post a photo playing golf or hanging out with your friends or watching football. You have the cigar. You're doing that. If God forbid something happens to you and now your family goes in and tries to cash in on that life insurance policy, but you said you never smoke, and they can go online and prove that you do smoke, it can negate that entire policy. So we know we're super careful with drinking, smoking, all that activity to make sure we're super accurate and conservative. Well, what's happening now is cyber insurance has changed dramatically in the last 24 months. If you go back 5 or 10 years, cyber insurance was handed out and easy because there weren't a lot of attacks and people weren't cashing in. So they'd charge you maybe a couple $1,000 or even $100,000 or $1 million, depending on the size of your company, for a very nice cyber insurance policy. And because it never paid out, you never had to go in and really worry about the terms and conditions. But what's happened in the last year between ransomware and data theft and compromise and all these other factors, these insurance companies had to pay out so much that they're now changing all the policies. Many of our clients that have had cyber insurance for 2 to 3 years, they go to renew their policy this year, and all of a sudden, the premium is double or tripling. And they're like, but we haven't had a breach, right? We haven't changed anything, we haven't done anything wrong. What's going on? What's going on is because they're losing so much money because of the data that's compromised in these breaches that they now have to raise the premium for everyone. The other thing we're starting to see now is some companies are either not able to get cyber insurance or they're not able to afford it. So don't go in and think your entire approach to cybersecurity is insurance, insurance, insurance. It might not cover what you think. You might not be able to get it, or it might be too expensive. And make sure you're reading the fine print. Make sure you understand what each term and condition is. We had a client of ours that had a $20 million cyber insurance policy. They thought they were covered. They had basic security measures in place, but they didn't worry because they're like, Eric, even if we get ransomware attack, it's going to be maybe $500K to $1 million ransom. It's going to be this or this or this. The insurance is going to cover it. We're fine. We're okay. Well, they had a breach, and the insurance company goes in and says, pay the ransom. It's quicker, cheaper, and easier to pay the ransom because paying the ransom is going to cost you $500K. But if you're going to be down for 3 or 4 months between lawsuits, compromises, and loss of operating capital, you might lose $3 to $5 million. So they're going to go with the cheaper option. So they pay the ransom, they submit the policy. They don't hear back, 2 months later, denied. And the reason is the policy went in, and when they filled it out, they asked them a series of questions about patching and systems and security. And somebody either not technical or didn't ask the right question, they go in and check, yes, all of our systems are up to date. All of our systems are patched. Careful. If you go in and sign an agreement that says all, A-L-L, all means everything. If you're saying all systems are up to date, if I'm an insurance carrier and I can go in and find one, it might be an older system, it might not be used for anything, but it's up online and active in your data center that's not up to date, but you said all, that violates your policy. Or patching, we see all the time where it says all systems are patched. What time period? All systems have to be patched within 30 days. Well, let me be real. Even if you're a medium-sized company or small company, If you have systems that are not critical to running the operations of the business, those might not be patched for 45 or 60 days. There might be slower operations on that. But if you go in and agree that every single system, all is going to be patched within 30 days, and there's one system that gets patched 35 or 40 days, and they can go back and prove that, the entire policy can be invalidated. Now, I'm not against insurance companies. I'm a big fan of them, but they also are running a business. And to me, if they're asking you questions and you are saying these are accurate, correct, truthful answers, make sure they're true. Now, we also want to be careful, because if we go on the other end and we play conservative, so we go in and say, okay, we're just going to say no to everything. No, all systems aren't patched, all this, all this, all this. The reality is your premium is either going to be so high or denied that you're not going to be able to afford it. So now the question is, who is actually looking at the terms and conditions of your cyber insurance and making sure that it's actually covered by those attacks? Make sure that it's covered and your systems are operating that procedure. If you say all, you better work with your IT department and cybersecurity team to make sure every single system is up to date. If you're saying every computer has antivirus, you better make sure that there's not one computer that somebody purchased that doesn't have antivirus. We have to start taking control of our policies and procedures. To me, cybersecurity is moving from a technical role more to an oversight and strategic and administrative role. You need to start looking at your cyber insurance policies. Look at your terms and conditions, what is actually being covered, and make sure you're adhering to that on a regular basis. Also, what types of attacks? We sometimes in these policies see that if they're acts of war or nation-state attacks or things along those lines, they're not covered. Well, if you get attacked by a Russian organization, could that be classified as a nation-state attack or as a national threat? And then maybe it's not going to be covered by the policy. So you want to be super careful of what the policy says and whether you're adhering to that and making sure you're getting the protection that you need. Because I talk to so many boards, and they're like, Eric, we don't need to worry about cyber. We don't need to worry about security. We don't need to worry about this. We have insurance. And then an attack hits and they're not covered by the insurance policy. Look at your policy closely, or if you need help, that's what we do at Secure Anchor. We come in and look for your blind spots. Look for things that you're missing that you might not be seeing. And we often can go in, and companies that think they're doing well, when we look at their policies and the policy says this, and we look at what they're actually doing, and there's a huge disconnect between them, we can often go in within a short period of time, fix and align your security with those policies. Now here's the cool part. If we can fix and align your policies, then if an attack happens, you're covered. But if you don't do that and you wait till afterwards, it could cost you a lot of money. So isn't it worth a small amount of money to verify and validate that your security is in line with your policies than to have a breach, have paid all the insurance, pay the attackers for the ransomware, and then not be covered because of simple things that could have easily been fixed if you had an independent third-party verification looking at and verifying your security, what you're doing, how you're protecting, and how you're securing your information.